Okay, so for you guys, traveling on a budget where we're having to do that all the time and just kind of making our dollars stretch, one of the good things about having online service on your phones and things is kind of looking ahead, seeing where you can stay for a little bit less expensive. Tonight, or this last night, we just stayed for about $60, but we're also getting a free continental breakfast, so that kind of takes a little bit of money off of eating out later for lunch or something. So we generally just don't eat breakfast. I know that's bad for you guys that are watching this that are health conscious, but we generally skip breakfast and eat lunch and then a pretty big dinner normally. So what we've been doing on this trip is just eating a continental breakfast where we stay, and then usually catching a sandwich or something on the road out of our ice chest. So it saves quite a bit there, so it seems to be a little more economical. My feeling when I travel is I'd rather spend money sightseeing, doing things like that. You're going to have your fuel costs, so that's going to be part of the expense, and you can't get around that. I mean, you can always find cheaper gas from town to town, but you're only looking at about maybe 10 cents difference per gallon. But when it comes to hotel stays, that's a really good place to save some money. So that's kind of how we do it, is we budget ourselves throughout our trips. This is a 3-week vacation. This is day 5, so we are on Sunday right now, and we're going to head to New Orleans today. We're going to catch some of the sites there, maybe see if they have some beach areas to kind of hang out on today. And then we still have tonight to stay on the road, so we're not too sure where we're going to be this evening. But anyway, that's kind of our plan today, and we'll just kind of see where we head off from here. Okay, so we're traveling right now across this huge bridge, and I wouldn't know that unless I'd done it before. This bridge on I-10 travels for several miles, and it's over swamps. And so on both sides of us, of course we're still in Louisiana, on both sides of us you can look out and just see these swampy marsh areas that just, to me, it's called Henderson Swamp. We just passed the sign, but I mean, it just begs, alligator, don't fall into this thing or you're doomed to certain death. It's one of those places you just look out and you're just thinking, there is no way I'd be stranded in something like this. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Okay, so do I really have to say anything? It's Louisiana. Okay, I'll say something. So we stopped at this travel center at Love's Truck Stop, and they had these little alligator heads and some pretty good sized alligator heads for sale. I am sure that the rest of the alligator that's missing right here is now made into a handbag, boots, a wallet, something like that. But anyway, This will be going in our travel room at home, just a little unique item for our trip in Louisiana. So this will be our little souvenir, and he'll ride around with us here on the dash, at least for a little while, at least through Louisiana. So he'll be kind of hanging out here somehow. There we go. He'll be protecting us through Louisiana from any of the voodoo that might be upon this area. You know, voodoo is a big part of Louisiana history. Kind of creepy. Driving into downtown New Orleans on an early Sunday afternoon, we were pleasantly surprised to find that the traffic was light and the area was mostly uncrowded. We didn't just end up here by accident. We actually have a restaurant in mind we would like to try, and we'd like to spend a few hours exploring the French Quarter. Okay, so we're in New Orleans. We are standing outside of Mother's Restaurant. This is a pretty famous restaurant. It's featured on Men's vs. Food on the Travel Channel some time ago. And, you know, when we're on our travels, we can't help but stop at some of the places we've seen Adam Richman eat at. And this was one of the areas that my wife definitely, you know, it came to her head pretty quickly when we said we were coming to New Orleans. And it was a good episode. So I remember the food being shown on TV and it just looked delicious. So standing outside as we drove up, there was a line that was pretty lengthy. Wasn't wrapped around the building, but I imagine it gets that way at times. So we just had a line go in front of us that went in. So I'm not sure how long the wait will be out here, but we're waiting ahead of time. There's people ahead of us kind of looking at their menus already. So I think anything on their menu is going to be great. But anyway, we'll kind of check out what they have to eat here. And as we're sitting here eating, we'll talk about the rest of the plans today. So that's kind of where we are now. There's a reason you probably won't see us eating a lot of seafood on our trips, and that's primarily because my wife and I are not big seafood eaters, but their po' boy sandwiches are to die for from what I've seen, and it's probably what we're going to head up when we get inside. So looking forward to eating some of those. Thank you. It is always cool to walk in a place you have seen in a movie or on television. It brings about a sense of deja vu. I know I haven't been here before, but my gosh, I've seen this place. I am truly not a starstruck kind of person. When I was a teenager, I would work with a concert promoting company where I had the opportunity to meet band members from Kiss, Cheap Trick, Poison, and Tesla, to name a few. However, I did go out of my way to get a photo with Adam Sandler with my kids when we were visiting Santa Fe. But being in a location that I've seen on TV, such as Gold and Silver Pawn Shop from Pawn Stars, the Hoover Dam, the Grand Canyon, or even standing in the location where John F. Kennedy was assassinated, is pretty cool.
And then the sausage, pork smoked, a side of red beans and rice.
Ferdy,
Okay.
and 2 cups of red beans.
Okay.
And what else you want?
We had a sausage one too.
A side of sausage?
No, we had a sausage pulled one.
A sausage pulled pork?
Uh-huh.
All right.
And I had that one.
Sausage pulled pork,
Yeah.
maybe. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
That looks so good.
There's
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, baby. I ain't never done that before.
New Orleans has a lot to offer in regard to restaurants, and Mother's obviously has been on the Travel Channel and with the Food Network quite a few times. And my first impression coming up with all the crowd and the line around the building and stuff was that it was primarily because of all the advertising they've received there. But I've had the chance to eat a little bit of my sandwich here, and the roast beef and the ham and the coleslaw coming together just is a delicious combination. At first I was a little bit skeptical of sharing my sandwich, but here's the thing that my wife and I do on a regular occasion is when we want to try more than one thing at a restaurant, we get 2 different orders that we both think we'd like, and then we just kind of half it. And so my first impression of eating the famous Ferdy was I'd be chipping myself, and in reality their sausage sandwich is just as good. There's a coleslaw and Dijon mustard that really brings all the flavors to life. The homemade bread is just delicious. The beans and rice also have a brisket or ham in them that's just to die for. So, the only way a business in a place like New Orleans that is famous for cuisine can stay in business is to be a step ahead of all the other guys. And there's no doubt that this restaurant has survived all the years because their food is delicious, and they have this down to a science on getting people in and out. As you can see from the footage here, there's a definite way that they handle business and the traffic that comes through here, because it's not a very big restaurant, but you can just tell that they have a high demand of customers. So definitely one of those places. If I'm ever in New Orleans again, I will definitely be back for one of these sandwiches. Delicious. After a great dining experience, we head out into the downtown streets of New Orleans to do a little exploring. The sound of sirens precedes an oncoming ambulance, reminding us to maintain some street smarts while we're in unfamiliar surroundings. Prior to heading to the French Quarter, we search out a hotel lobby for public restrooms. To our amazement, we are met by hundreds of people in fascinating costumes. I am frantic to get my camera mounted on a tripod in the hope that I can find a willing person or two to visit with me about this convention. When filming travel videos, you can't get more of a golden opportunity than this.
Well, this is called an anime convention. It focuses around Japanese culture and fashion and video games, and a lot of what people are wearing are costumes based on manga, anime, video games, things from Japanese media for the most part, although also American video games. And I'm actually wearing a fashion style from Japan right now called Lolita fashion, and he's wearing OG fashion, and it's just based mostly on stuff from Japan.
So what got you interested in this genre?
I've been reading like Japanese manga since I was very young. I'm sure most of these people here would tell you they have been, and I have no idea when I found out about conventions. It was the internet for sure, but I don't know when.
Big following. Do you know how many people are here today?
I have no idea. This isn't the biggest con I've been to, but this is really big.
That's pretty sizable.
I would say there are a few thousand people. There were Saturday.
Yeah, yesterday.
There were Saturday. Yeah, there's less here today than there were yesterday.
Leaving the hotel lobby with video footage we did not expect, we head out into downtown New Orleans with our sights set on walking the Mississippi riverfront and exploring the shops in the French Quarter. Back on the road, we bid farewell to New Orleans as she fades into the horizon in the rearview mirror. The flavors, sights, and sounds from Mother's Restaurant, the unexpected anime convention that met us during a restroom break, paddle boats traveling the mighty Mississippi River, unique shops, and talented street performers will certainly provide us with memories and conversations for years to come. The road is ever getting closer to the Emerald Coast of Destin, Florida, as we travel towards Mississippi, where we have one more night on the road before we are to check into our condo at Destin. We're in Biloxi, Mississippi, and we actually are filming this now after actually spending some time out in the evening checking out some of the sites around our hotel. We decided to actually splurge a little bit on this night. You remember this is our 25th wedding anniversary, so we are due to be into our destination where we plan on being tomorrow in Destin, Florida. So as we were traveling up and down the coastline, looking at the beach here in Biloxi and throughout Mississippi before we got here, we were just looking for a hotel. There's some casinos up the street, the Hard Rock Cafe, as well as some others. And as we came across this one, it was just an interesting sight from the shoreline, and we decided to check in on it. And it's just got a great, rich history. It began and was established in 1895 by a woman by the name of Cora White. And even though the building is white, that's not why it has the name White House. It's actually because of her last name. And she started it as a boarding house. And it's a very elaborate hotel. It was just remodeled here recently in the last year, and just recently reopened. So one of the interesting things about wandering this hotel is looking at some of the historical pictures that are hanging in the walls. And it shows a lot of the history of this building from the historical archives that are just filling the hallways as you walk through. The smell is just a remodel smell. It just smells great because you know that you're kind of walking into the best. So in my opinion, I haven't looked at the area hotels other than just walking around a little bit, but from what I can see from the roadside, this looks to be one of the most elegant hotels you can stay in. So it was really nice to kind of splurge on this trip and just spend a little bit of a nicer evening in a really cool place to kind of wrap up this part of our journey and our road trip, because as we said before, there was no plans along the way. So this is kind of one of those little extra treats we decided to throw in for ourselves before we get to Destin tomorrow. So tomorrow morning we're going to wake up early. We're going to be able to walk the beach a little bit because today, we did walk a little bit tonight, but we got hit by rain, a pretty hard storm as we were kind of getting ready to get started. So it kind of messed our plans up a little bit. So we spent some time kind of wandering the casino, looking at the beachfront, and just kind of wandering around looking at some of the sights here in the evening. But tomorrow morning we're going to get a fresh start. Checkout here is not until 12 o'clock, which is perfect because that leaves us 4 hours to get to our destination, and that's about the drive time it's going to take to get there. So for the early morning, we're going to kind of pack up, probably leave our stuff in our room for a little bit and go wander around, come back, check out, and we're going to be on our way again tomorrow. So we'll see you then.